Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of our School of Hard Knocks Team Builder. We are back for the second week, so this is going to be the second Sunday in our new schedule where we look at the team, how it's performed this week, and make some changes going into next week. And that's going to be the new structure going forward. As always, do get your comments back to me on the new structure. It is massively appreciated. And as always, do subscribe to the channel and drop a like if you enjoy this sort of content. As you might have noticed though, it's been a little bit of a change, so I'm all prepped for Worlds now, if you're noticing about the hair, but it is a little change. So I did this midweek obviously, so last week's videos wouldn't have had it on. Anyway, I want to keep this short today. So we started off last week, we did a poll and you guys kindly voted for Yanmega and Charizard X. So that's what we ran with. It was pretty difficult to put a team together around these two, and it's not going to be super standard, super metagame kind of relevant at the moment, but it's a little bit of fun and something nice for us to kickstart with, and it gave me a bit of a challenge as well. So right, let's get into it. I've made a little slideshow so we can go through. Let's go through each game and we'll take points from each game. That's what we're going to do. Accumulate all that data, have a look at what we kind of have as an outcome at the end, and then we'll look at what changes we've made going into next week, so to make it a bit more interesting. So first opponent this week was Prince, running a team of Naganadel, Mawile, Zapdos, Azumarill, Passimian and the Gothitelle. Really good game. But the one things that we want to take out of this, it was a loss unfortunately for ourselves. We didn't bring Cortana and the Azumarill just ran through us. I think the other things we want to take from this game really is the lack of ground offense that we have on the team. We have nothing to really hit the Naganadel hard with, the Mawile, and we don't have anything that resists attacks from that Zapdos too well, or really at all, other than the Charizard. So a grounded type would be massively helpful in the team. That's something else we can take from that. And Trick Room answers as well. We have really nothing other than Helping Hand, Buggy MZ, and once that's gone with the Yanmega, our options become pretty sparse. Tyranitar to a certain extent, but it's not really a solid option there. So that kind of wraps up game one. We'll go into game two from Monday's episode. It was against Alha and running a team of Incineroar, Celesteela, Drampa, the Grandpa, Tapu Fini, Gardevoir and Landorus Therian. Now this game was actually quite good. We did manage to come out on top of this game, and I think the things that we took away from this game were how good Yanmega was. We brought Yanmega top, Rotom and the Charizard X, and Yanmega kind of and hit him on top early on. And it was more, I think, the Intimidate, Fake Out. Well, not even the Intimidate really. I think the Intimidate definitely helps the Yanmega in certain situations, like we were saying in this game. The Incineroar can't pick up the KO once it's intimidated on the Yanmega, which gives the Yanmega a bit more freedom, but it's really the Fake Out and the Helping Hand support there that really give the Yanmega the ability to kind of nuke stuff and operate a lot better, taking away Fake Out support and threats from our opponents as well. So that was that game. We finished Monday's episode 1-1, 50% win record. Not ideal, but not the worst either. Could have been 2 losses. So we go into Wednesday's episode. Our third opponent, Nicholas, running a team of Tapu Koko, Manectric, another Naganadel, Garchomp, Incineroar and Metagross. Now again, even though we came out winning this game, there was massive holds apparent right through the ground type again against 2 electric types. The Naganadel, the Incineroar and the Metagross. A ground type here just runs through this team, and not having one made it extremely difficult. Intimidate as well, double Intimidate on my opponent's team with the Incineroar and the Manectric made it extremely difficult for us to actually utilise our Dragon Dances. So we've got nothing to punish that Intimidate cycling either on the team, so we need to think about that going forward, and anything that we could implement to allow us to hit dragons with as well, because at the moment we've not got anything on our team that really hits dragons outside of Hidden Power Ice on Yanmega, which isn't really super reliable at all times for that sort of thing. As I say, we come out for a win, but there's some good points to kind of take from that match. Then we go into the second match of Wednesday, our fourth opponent of the week, Bobby, and playing a team of Stack Attacker, Tapu Fini, Amoonguss, Tyranitar, Incineroar and the Zapdos, and we led off with Hitmontop and Tyranitar with Kartana and Charizard in the back. Now, it was massively apparent in this game. If you want to go back to it as well, guys, what I'm going to do is link each and every game, well, day's episode at the start of each kind of game from that episode. So you can go back, click in the corner right here, and the games will appear, and you can go back and check those episodes out if you'd like to, if you haven't seen them before. As I say, if you haven't seen anything from the past week, I would suggest going back and watching those episodes so you know what we're talking about now going into next week as well. It will just make things a bit more understandable for you. So one of the things that was massively apparent in this game in particular was the lack of speed control options we have. My opponent had Trick Room, they had Tailwind, and having both of those options really punished us a lot, and we didn't have really any options to shut those mods down or kind of match them, other than our own Tailwind, which just got counteracted by the Trick Room. The other thing that we did in this game, we were very passive. We missed a lot of opportunities to take things down when we kind of ended up protecting instead. So very passive play combined with the lack of a ground type again, which would have been massively helpful in this game, and the speed control were really apparent in this game. So some good points from everything up to now with the team. So we take everything and go into Friday's episode. Again, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it right there for you guys. And I always do this little jiggy thing. It's like a little dance, isn't it? But it's just for this, just to make you aware that that is there, and you can click on it and go watch the episode if you haven't already. So we go into Friday's episode and playing a Mega Salamence, Kartana, Tapu Fini, Incineroar, Cresselia and Gastrodon team, and kick off and just Yanmega just showing what it's really all about. It did such a good job in this episode. The fake out support, the helping hand support from the top was super nice, but Yanmega picked up a ton of KOs. I think like 3 KOs in this one game, and if we played it a little differently, probably could have done a little bit more as well, but we did end up taking this game. But all in all, I think the Yanmega really shone through in this game, with I think Charizard cleaning up. I'm not too sure, but yeah, well, I'm not 100% on that. But whatever it was, the Yanmega really just was the star of the show in that game. Then we go into the last game, Friday's episode, and it is against Alan, and he is playing a God of War Incineroar, Landorus, Therian, Tapu Koko, Suicune and the Tyranitar team. We went with Hitmontop and Yanmega as a lead, Charizard and Rotom in the back, and again, lack of speed control. Here we had Tailwind, we had Trick Room, we had Double Intimidate as well, all things that are punishing us. And I think the thing that came down to in the end was the Tapu Koko. We couldn't handle it because of the lack of ground type, lack of electric immunity we have on the team, and a way to hit it, a way to switch in and get momentum on our side of the field really punished us, and that is something that we need to look at. So we ended up with a loss there, which rounded the week up for us with a 50-50 win to loss record, which isn't that great, but we can have a look here. I've just put a little summary together of how each Pokemon has performed this week. So we brought Charizard X to every single game. We played all 6 games. It managed to get 4 knockouts, so not quite a knockout each game, which is not ideal. So maybe that's more to do with how we're supporting it rather than how it's performing in itself, because I think potentially it can be a very strong Pokemon. Yanmega we brought to 66% of our games this week, and it managed to get 5 knockouts. It's actually the highest knockout Pokemon on our team, so it's performed extremely well, surprisingly the star member of the team, and a really good shout from you guys, and hopefully we can continue that into next week. Rotom Wash we brought to half our games this week, picked up no knockouts unfortunately. Hitmontop was brought 100% of the time, didn't pick up any knockouts, but it had a very good supporting role and offered a lot of assists in those knockouts to other members of the team, and it did perform a nice role as well, so that's got to be considered, although it didn't pick any knockups out. Kartana didn't do a bad job at all, brought it to a third of games and 33%, and picked up 2 knockouts. And Tyranitar 50%, 50%, so it did alright. It matched our win ratio, didn't it? But nothing above that. So some things to take into consideration, and then just a brief summary of everything that went on this week. Say we got 3 wins, 3 losses, 50% win record, like I keep saying. But some of the big highlighted areas that we need to improve on going into this week, I feel, is going to be the terrain control for one. Allowing other Tapus, especially Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele, that benefit from those terrains offensively that we can't control, really does hurt us. And having some terrain control ourselves would really benefit some of our members of the team, depending on what Tapu we went with. We need Trick Room support, some way to stop it, some way to play around it, to benefit from it ourselves possibly, and we definitely need something to help with the Intimidate spam, especially because our mega user, our main centerpiece of the team, is Charizard X, is a physical type attacker, and then some other offensive, defensive and support components that the team lacks, and that's definitely a ground type, offensively and defensively. The terrain support again there, and alternative speed control options to help us, because we've struggled with that this week. That was something we highlighted. So going on to changes for week 2. These are the changes we're going to make going into week 2. These are what I've decided we're going to check the team, and some of them are a little bit weird, but they do and will work and do make sense. So we need a ground type, and for one reason, because I get comments all the time from you guys saying, yeah, I can see why Landorus is there, but could you use something other than Landorus? And yes, I can use something other than Landorus. Landorus is good and everywhere for a reason, guys, and that reason is because it fills a very specific role, covers a lot of elements that teams struggle with. But we can go without Landorus for this, and it kind of works as well, because we're swapping out Tyranitar. The dark typing is really nice, so keeping that with the Crocodile kind of works. We also keep the Intimidate on the team, but we get that ground defensiveness, we get the ground defensive side as well, so it works quite nicely. So that's the first change that we're going to make. We've got a ground type on the team. Excellent. Second, it shouldn't say Trick Room matchup at all, it should say something else there, but second issue we're going to go with, that was something I should have changed. But second thing we're going to change is I don't want double Intimidate on the team. It kind of punishes us against potential opposing competitive users, defiant users and things like that. It makes us a bit more prone to that sort of thing. So I don't want the double Intimidate here, as much as it could be useful, as much as Hitmontop could still work. The other thing that I wanted to implement in the team was, when we lose Tyranitar, you've got to think that our rain matchup gets a little bit worse. So one thing that I have done is put in Toxicroak. It's a really weird, quirky decision, but it works in the team. It offers poison type as well, so it can outspeed, it will outspeed Modest, Lele, and can deal with all of the Tapus with Gunk Shot. It has Fighting Stab as well, that we're not losing from the Hitmontop, and it has very fast Fake Out and Helping Hand support, so we don't really lose too much. It's got the Focus Sash on there, and it has a Dry Skin ability, which gives us a really nice switch into water type attacks, and a water resist as well, to further, you know, just give the team a bit more support all around. So that is the second change that we're going to make. Hitmontop to Toxicroak, and we aren't losing really too much from making these changes here. Like I say, the weather matchup is mainly there for rain, which we kind of cover with Toxicroak. It deals with Ludi and Politoed all day long. Struggles a little bit more against Pelipper, but we do outspeed it, and we do have other ways around that, so it's not the worst thing in the world. The Dark typing we keep with Crocodile. The Intimidate we keep with Crocodile. The Fighting type from Hitmontop we keep with Toxicroak, and we're not really adding too many more weaknesses either. We've got the Dark typing with Crocodile, the Psychic from Toxicroak's covered by, so it kind of works. And it makes sense in that sort of way. And Toxicroak can perform quite a nice supporting role, especially with that fast fake out as well that we've got. So they're the first changes. Second lot of changes, we're going to dump Rotom Wash. Unfortunately, it's not doing too bad, but it's not really doing too much as well. And one reason we're going to dump it is to get around that Intimidate spam and replace it with Milotic. It works perfectly with Charex. We've seen Wolf create a great team with it earlier in the season, as well as many other players. It just fits perfectly. It offers us protection against Intimidate, keeps the Firewater Grass Core, and offers an alternative speed control method as well with Icy Wind, which we're going to play on the team. And then we've got the other change we're going to make is Cortana for Tapu Bulu. It does offer terrain control. It protects Charizard X Toxicroak from those ground type attacks, and works well in Tailwind and Trick Room as well. So well, it works well in Tailwind. It doesn't work well in Trick Room because we've actually changed things up a little bit since I wrote this little bit. It works well in Tailwind because we're going with a Choice Scarf Tapu Bulu on the team. So this is the overall look of the team. It is going to be Charex, Yanmega, Milotic, Tapu Bulu, Crocodile, and the Toxicroak. I will just quickly bring up the where am I going with this? So we want I think we want this gone, and there we can look at some of the spreads if I can pull them up, guys. Here we go. Right, so we've got the Charex keeping the same, Yanmega staying the same, Tapu Bulu we're going Choice Scarf, gives us a fast Rock Slide user as well, and another means to hit Charizard Y before it can do anything, mainly because we've got quite a few fire weaknesses in the team. I mean, we've got Charex, which completely resists it. Milotic doesn't do too bad a job against it, but I did think that the Nature's Madness also works really nicely with the other members of the team. So that's one of the reasons we went Scarf Bulu, and most times I'm not going to be leading Tapu Bulu in matches. This is not how I see Tapu Bulu operating in this team. Tapu Bulu is going to be more of a Pokemon I switch in, and because of that, it allows the Scarf to work a little bit more in that situation. Then we've got Milotic. It's going to be Grassy Seed to take advantage of that grassy terrain, and other than that, it's very standard. Scald, Icy Wind, Recover, Protect, bulky enough to take a Gigavolt out of electric terrain, so it's going to do all the things you need it to do. And then we've got Crocodile. It's going to be our second Z move user on the team, with that Darkium Crunch to be able to nuke stuff like we get Tapu Lele with that, we get Metagross, Helping Hand support, we'll get Cress, we get Aegislash, and I've went for Stomping Tantrum because with the grassy terrain it doesn't really make so much sense to run Earthquake, and it freezes up not to have any conflicts either. I've got Roar in there as well as a little tech against Trick Room setup and things like that, so we've got that going for us. Speed is just enough to creep creepers of Tapu Lele, like neutral max base 95s, so that's what we went with. And then rounding up with Toxicroak, which is, as we've said in the changes that we made, it's going to be Helping Hand, Gunk Shot, Cross Chop, and Fake Out. So it's got some lower accuracy type moves there, but it keeps it exciting. We went for the Focus Sash. The spread here, the 4 there, is just to make sure, like the Crocodile, that if we come up against any P2s, we don't activate that download boost, and we've got a better chance of getting rid of them and all that sort of thing. So there are the changes, guys. This is the team that we're going to be playing this week. It's kind of exciting, and I've just put a poll out as well on YouTube asking what sort of teams you guys want to see played going forward. Do you want to see more standard metagame sort of teams? Do you want to see really quirky teams? Do you want to see a mixture? So the consensus really coming back is you want to see more standard teams with maybe a slight tweak on, which is perfect. Well, literally perfect. Now I get people saying, and I get comments saying, which I really appreciate every single comment. I'm not saying that I don't like the comments, but I do get comments saying, can you use something less standard sometimes? But knowing the majority of people want to see that standard sort of team with a little difference on the side makes it so much easier going forward, and it means I can actually cater the teams and stuff to what you want, because most of the time when I get a lot of comments saying don't use this, can you not use this, it's used all the time. It makes me worried about putting future teams together, and it makes it more difficult for me, because then I have to think, right, well I could use this Pokemon, but no one really wants to see that because it's played all the time, so what else can I use? And then I spend a gazillion of the amount of time putting something together that just isn't quite as good as what it could be. So going forward, knowing this information, we can do the best teams. This week is a little bit of fun, so it's kind of cool, and we will do this from time to time, but we're going to concentrate going forward on more standard, solid teams, and hopefully that will be a lot more beneficial for you guys at home watching this. So let me know your comments and things on that. I would really appreciate any feedback as always, guys. But we're going to wrap things up there. We're on about 20 minutes, so as much time as I really want to be spending on these sort of things. But this is going to be the wrap up for this little episode. We'll play the team this week. We'll have a little review before we do a new team next week. I'm going to put a poll up on YouTube through the week with new megas for you guys to decide what you want to see played the following week. So I will put that up Monday, Tuesday, so keep an eye out for it. Get voting. Any comments as well are much appreciated. And I will see you all of you, hopefully, for our School of Hard Knocks episode tomorrow, which will be 7:30 PM as always, guys. So until then, take care of yourselves and bye-bye.